I hope I am audible and the screen is visible. And someone sent a chat message. No, this is not the phase discriminator. I have uh, named it the Costas receiver. And
No, sir, that block I'm unable to read that. It's phased discriminator, right? Uh,
no, this is the Costas receiver. I have written Costas receiver here.
no, sir. In the left of
Oh,
VCO.
yes, yes, this thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so
Phase.
yes,
Uh,
so actually I copied this diagram because this diagram, as you can see, is slightly complicated to draw. So I copied it from your notes. Just so this is the phase discriminator. So this is so we last time we discussed the problem with DSP suppressed carrier, or the problem that we had in demodulating DSP suppressed carrier due to the phase difference, and this time we plan on addressing that. So this we receive ST equals MT cos 2 pi FCT. We receive this signal. Okay, I'll use the red pen here. So this is the signal that we receive, and our local oscillator, let's suppose, is generating. So this VCO, this is the voltage controlled oscillator. Let's suppose what is a voltage controlled oscillator and what is a phase discriminator. We'll come to this next week when we discuss frequency demodulating frequency modulated FM signals. Right now, just to know that there is something called the phase discriminator and there is something called the VCO. So a slightly detailed description of these is that a phase discriminator can determine the phase difference between two signals and generate voltage null. A phase discriminator can do this, and a voltage controlled oscillator can generate signal whose phase slash frequency. We'll discuss how this is done in the next chapter. Is
Sir,
controlled. Yeah.
can you reiterate what we are trying to do? I mean, where did we leave last in the last
So
class?
in the last class, if I'll not this. Um, so I'm trying to. Yes. So if you go to the last class, you see that we had a problem in demodulating. We had discussed demodulating DSP suppressed carrier signals, and we had talked about the case where we said that we can simply multiply the received signal with the carrier, and we are good to go. And then we had said that if we have a phase difference between the received carrier and the between the locally generated carrier and the received signal, then we are in trouble. This is where we stopped yesterday, right?
Yes, sir.
So now coming back to the present, let's look at this circuit, or it's not a circuit, it's an arrangement of blocks. This is called the Costas receiver, and this is a schematic that this is how a Costas receiver looks like. So a VCO can generate a sinusoidal signal whose phase frequency is controlled by an external voltage. This is a voltage controlled oscillator, and the phase discriminator is something that can determine the phase difference between two signals, whether it is 90 degrees or not. So or what's the phase difference in two signals? So now we see that I receive mt cos 2 pi fct over here, right? And so this VCO generates, this you can think of this system as a local oscillator. This generates cos 2 pi fct plus delta, and I phase shift it by pi by 2 and generate sin 2 pi fct plus delta. Now this gives me mt by 2 cos, passing this through a low pass filter in the I branch gives me mt by 2 cos delta, as we saw yesterday. Similarly, you can show that if you multiply it with sin 2 pi fct plus delta, you get mt by 2 sin delta. Now ideally, when there is no phase difference between the local oscillator and the received carrier signal, this mt by 2 sin delta, since ideally zero, right? So if I use this sin delta, and for we know that for small delta mt by 2 sin delta approximately equals, right? Right? So the phase discriminator, what it does is it simply divides the two. You can simply divide these two voltages and you feed it to a voltage controlled oscillator. Since these two are, so when the input to a voltage controlled oscillator is zero, it won't change anything. So it stays fixed. You can say, think that, okay, this now stays fixed. We'll discuss this in greater detail when we discuss the phase lock loop. So right now, when you have no error, the input is zero and the voltage controlled oscillator continues to function as it was functioning. But when this input is non-zero, the voltage controlled oscillator adjusts so that this delta is forced to zero, and the delta is forced to zero, and the carrier signal aligns well with the locally generated signal, which means that there is no phase error. So this is
this is kind of a negative feedback.
Yeah, this is negative feedback loop. This is a feedback loop based system, and this is a negative feedback loop. So Fine. So this is the Costas receiver, and this is how we get away with demodulating AM signals with suppressed carriers. Now the next thing, so we talked about, so we have talked about the power wastage. So has been taken care of. So we have taken care of the power wastage to some extent. Now, the other thing that we want to take care of was the bandwidth wastage. Fine. So the problem was that say this is the signal MT or this is MF and this. So these two sidebands are identical. The two sidebands are identical and consequently end up wasting bandwidth. But what we have done with Hilbert transforms we know that MT plus J M hat T. So MT plus J M hat T, let me call this M dot T, or since we have already introduced this notion, so right, this is the positive sideband. Now, if or rather if xt equals this, then xf or the magnitude spectrum of xf right, this will be the magnitude spectrum of xf. But xt is a complex signal and can only transmit real signals. So because of this, right? So half of, so let's say this ST equals real of XT. So which means that XF or SF equals right. So ST equals real part of XT plus JT equals XT cos sorry, not X, M. Sorry. This thing is not right. MT plus J M hat T e to the power J 2 pi. This.
The J won't be there in the.
Yeah, J won't be there in the real part. Yes. Thank you. So, but so yes, J won't be there in the real part, and this is the signal that you receive. Sorry, this is the signal that you transmit. Fine. Okay, so Banu, can you see the screen now?
No, sir.
Okay, so I'll reshare it. Sorry, I was so busy in writing here that I couldn't see the chat. Sorry about that. I'll just reshare it. And 5 others. Can you see it now, Banu?
Yes, sir.
Excellent. Sorry about that. I wasn't able to see the chat window. So this now at the receiver have if we have a coherent local oscillator, because you see here that the Koster's receiver won't work, because now that empty or that delta, that thing is no longer 0. So we'll come to that later, but if we have a coherent local oscillator, I can write S prime t equals st cos 2 pi fct equals mt cos square 2 pi fct minus m hat t sine right equals mt 1 plus cos by 2 minus m hat t sine, sorry, this should be 4 pi m hat t equals mt with pass band gain equal to 2. Fine. This is okay, right? Come on.
No, sir.
I would like
Matlab,
to.
I didn't understood.
Okay, what did you not understand? So just I'll go back. So just point me to the place. So you understand this as generation of
Yes,
SF?
sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That much below.
This
Like
single side band generation you understand?
yes.
St equals mt cos 2 pi fct minus mt sin 2 pi
Yes, sir.
fct.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now at the receiver. So as I said earlier, our job is twofold. One, modulate the signal at the transmitter so that it can be transmitted over a channel. And the second part of our job is to try to recover it. So in order to recover it, this S hat, this S hat T, if we want to recover, yes. If we want to recover this S hat T, then, or if we want to recover this MT, I write S prime T as ST cos 2 pi FCT.
Yes, sir. That much I understood. Below that.
So this I simply substitute mt cos 2 pi FCT m hat minus m hat sin 2 pi FCT here. So here I am simply substituting the value of ST.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Fine. Now I write it like this. And after that, if I, oh sorry, m hat, yeah, sorry about that. That hat is causing, the Hilbert transform notation is causing confusion. So passing this through an low pass filter, let's say I define the low pass So there's a filtered signal. Let's call that convolution equals. This is okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sorry, because the Hilbert transform and the estimate, both of so I'm used to writing hat as a notion for the estimate of something. So that's why it confused me. I'm sorry about that. So now we have done this, and so this now the question is, how do we? Yes. Now the question is that how do since you can see that the Costas receiver will fail here. And this is one of the topics for the 5-minute videos next week, that why the Costas receiver will fail here. So I'll tell you all on Monday. I'll give you the questions. So this is one of those questions. So everyone can think about it. Why the Costas receiver will fail in this case? You answer me in 5 minutes. So,
Sir, in which case?
In single sideband or for single sideband modulation, the Costas receiver will fail. That we discussed Costas receiver just now, right? So I am telling you that it will fail for single sideband modulation. Why would it fail? That I leave up to your imagination. So that you have to figure out and tell me. So one way of so I am simply writing that since the Costas receiver will fail here, we have to have some method of carrier synchronization. We have to have some method of carrier synchronization. One such method is sending a weakened pilot carrier with the so one such method is sending a weakened pilot carrier with the SSB signal. So what is this pilot carrier? So you again add the carrier, but now the SSB signal doesn't form the envelope of that signal, but so the signal looks somewhat like S of f would look somewhat like this. So there's a impulse, there's a single frequency sinusoid embedded with the signal to provide synchronization. So this synchronization we will discuss in the synchronization. How does this thing help? Mathematical details can be discussed only after we discuss the phase lock loops. So that is left to next week. But so this is one way of achieving carrier synchronization, that you add a low amplitude carrier with this. So this and so this is how you generate and demodulate single sideband signals in general. And now the question is that is there any other way of generating single sideband except this? Anyone? Come on. You understand what single sideband is, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So I discussed one way of generating single sideband signals. Can someone come up with another way? That is my question. Think. Okay, the awkward silence is stretching too long. What about filters?
Sir,
What
are
if-
there asymmetric filters?
Sorry?
Are there asymmetric are asymmetric filters available?
You don't need an asymmetric filter. And say you stretch from minus fc by w to fc. So say,
So,
Shubhashish, tell me.
sir, if we use a filter which stationed at fc plus w by 2,
Yes.
fc plus,
Yes. Yes.
then it would
Yes.
have from fc to fc plus w.
fc plus w. And so if I use a filter that is like this. So if I use a filter that looks like this, so this is h of f and this is s of f. So if I use a filter that looks like this, I can chop off. So I use a bandpass filter, I can chop off what is not desired and I can keep what is desired. So there's one fundamental difference between this filter and the filters that we have considered till now. So all the other filters, all the other bandpass filters, low pass filters that we have considered before this were supposed to filter out frequencies that were quite distant. So like in generating AM, you had everything around FC and you had to keep a bandwidth W around FC and then you had to filter out 2FC, 3FC and 0 frequencies like that. In low pass filtering, you obviously filter only up to W and where FC is much greater than W. But here, what you are actually doing is you want a precise razor sharp filter that chops off everything at 0, right?
But that isn't possible practically.
That isn't
right?
possible. Exactly. You do not have brick wall filters. You have considered, you have studied the Paley-Wiener criterion, or have you come across the word Paley-Wiener criterion?
No, sir.
Control systems, you have done that course or you're yet to do that course?
Done it, sir.
Oh, was it during the closed semester?
No, sir.
Then third
Yes, sir,
semester.
close semester only.
Yeah, closed semester. That's why.
Semester.
Yeah. So that's why you missed the Paley-Wiener criterion. So roughly, I do not have a proof right now, but roughly the Paley-Wiener criterion says that you cannot have a frequency response that decays faster than e to the power minus omega square. So this is So this is the Pella-Wiener criterion. Fastest rate of decay of response. So this is not a brick wall filter. This e to the minus omega square or e to the power minus f square. So this is not a brick wall filter. This is a or this will have certain undesirable components. So this filter is different from. That's why this filter is different from all the filters we have studied till now, because till now whatever we considered was the frequency separations were so large that you could discount this e to the power minus f square decay, but you can no longer discount this e to the power minus f square decay here. So that's why this Pella-Wiener criterion is important, and you cannot have exact single sideband modulation simply using filters. So that is why we had to do this Hilbert transform trick. Yeah,
So,
Subhashish.
if we cascade a filter with a comparator, shouldn't the problem be solved to an extent?
Filter with a comparator.
Like filter can the main basic principle of filter is to reduce the means pass, like keeping the passband components to a certain level and reducing the other components, right?
Yes.
So if we can reduce the other components beyond a certain limit and then use a comparator on it, then
Comparator.
we
How will a
can get the
comparator help? How will the comparator help? That's what is intriguing me. So a comparator operates totally in the time domain, as far as I know. You cannot use a comparator to separate out different frequency components, isn't it?
I'm just trying to reduce the amplitude of the
That will
signal.
reduce the amplitude of everything.
Okay.
See, a comparator, this is very important to note. Note that when you have a comparator, it works on the time domain signal and it works on the signal as a whole. Whereas when you talk about a filter, it is working on the individual frequency components of a signal. So using a comparator, you cannot actually compare the individual frequency components of a signal. So actually this is slightly flawed, and what we end up, so using this filter approach, what we end up with is what is known as vestigial sideband modulation. So Bhavnik, there was no alternative. There is an alternative solution. This filters, these are an alternative solution, and that's why I'm discussing them. So one thing about communications or the little AM schemes that we have considered, we'll discuss this as we go deeper into the course. We'll discuss this more. But till now, whatever we have discussed, you might have realized one thing, that we are always trading off one convenience for another. For example, the simple AM that we considered was wasteful on power and wasteful on bandwidth, but it was easy to generate. Then you traded off that ease in power and bandwidth for a slightly complicated demodulator, and you got a reduced power for the signal. Then you said that, okay, I want to save the bandwidth as well. You get a much more complicated transmitter and a much more complicated receiver. So there is always some trade-off involved. Now I'm saying that, okay, this single sideband modulation, the Hilbert transform based modulator is too complicated for me. What if I want to use a filter? So what if I want to use a simpler transmitter? The answer is that if I try to use a simpler transmitter by using a filter, then it doesn't totally help. What I can do is instead is I can trade off the filter with something else. So an actual filter or the response of an actual filter, an actual bandpass filter, looks somewhat like this, right? So now I want to use this actual bandpass filter to cut off the unwanted sideband. So you see that there are two components. One, so I have two choices actually. One, I cut off some part of the desired sideband so that I can completely eliminate the undesired sideband. So choices that we have is cut off part of the desired sideband to get that is one. Two, let a part of the undesired sideband stay so that the desired sideband stays intact. So because of the absence of exact brick wall filters, I am given these two choices for generating signal sideband signals. What should I choose? All those in favor of choice one, raise your hands. We'll argue later. So right now I want a poll. All those in favor of choice one, raise your hands. Okay. All those in favor of choice two, raise your hands. Shivashish, you can put your hand down. All those in favor of choice two, raise your hands. Five, 6, 7. Yeah. 7, 8, 10. Yeah, 10. So it's 10 versus 1, kind of. And what are the other 60 people doing? That would be a nice question. So 60 other people, maybe when you watch the video just before the exams, you will realize that something had happened. Yes. Anyway. Oh, I rose my hand by. Yeah. So anyway, coming back. So option 2 is right, because the reason for this is that 7 a.m. exam. 7 a.m. exam. Wow. People are evil. I'm not calling anyone evil, but just in general, people are evil. Yeah. Anyway, coming back. So we want the signal that we transmit to be received as it is. So that is a primary requirement, that whatever we transmit should be received as it is. So because of that, we want we'll allow the okay. let a part of the undesired band come through. We'll deal with it. So we'll waste some bandwidth, not the entire 2x bandwidth. We'll waste say 10% or 15% bandwidth, but that will allow this original signal to pass through unaffected. Bhavnik, yeah. Shivashish, you want to add something to this discussion? Okay, I don't, Bhavnik, I don't think. Yeah, tell me.
I think that it is possible to construct some part of the information from the remaining information.
Yeah,
So
construct
that's
some
why,
part of the information. So you will introduce error.
yeah, that is why the errors can still be reduced with proper probability methods. So that is why I wanted the first one.
Yes, so yes, it's all a question of priorities actually. In this case, our priority is 100% true signal, because so the method of probabilities that you are talking about actually works only when you have a lot of redundant information in the signal. So redundancy and all. So say you are transmitting you are transmitting a wall. You're transmitting the picture of a wall. There almost all the pixels will be of the same color. So even if you lose some pixels, you will be able to recover those. That is true. But
Yes, sir. Exactly like that.
yeah,
Reconstruction
that
of
is
the
true. But here, since we have not as yet characterized probabilistic models of information, so this comes under what we call information theory. And possibly if I teach you digital communications next semester, we will discuss this. But in general, since we have not yet encountered the probabilistic models of information, and how do we, or how much damage can we allow the signal? See, once you damage a signal, like my speech, if there is some distortion, you will be able to make out what I'm saying, right? And it will gradually, by putting, so you have heard the story of straws on a camel's back, right?
No, sir.
Okay, so have you ever heard the proverb, the straw that, or have you ever heard the statement, the straw that broke the camel's back?
No, sir.
Okay, so imagine a camel, a pretty robust camel. Okay, a strong camel who is standing, who is used for, who is used as a beast of burden for carrying luggage, and the owner starts putting straw. You know straw, right? Not even the drinking straw would do, but so straws of grass. So one straw, two straws. So up till a limit, the camel won't feel any weight. After some time, the camel will have to work a bit to uh, walk with those straws on it. And then at a point, and then there'll come a point where the camel will struggle to walk with the straws. Then you'll reach a point where each additional straw would put extremely large burden on the camel, and then there'll be a straw that breaks the camel's back. And all of it is done bit by bit. You remember the Carnot engine with lead shots, point masses. Each individual point mass does not affect anything, but in collection, all the point masses change the Carnot engine. Similarly, small bits of noise don't hurt you, but there would be one point that is not exactly describable that actually breaks your signal. So right now, since we have not characterized information, we have not characterized how noise affects the signal, we don't want to create any errors in the signal, because there will be a point where your signal is damaged beyond repair. You don't want that right now. Yes, when we talk about information theory, when we talk about digital communications, we will want to trade off this signal error for bandwidth. Right now, we don't want to do that. We want the signal exactly as we transmitted it. So that's why right now we'll go with option 2. Eventually, when we realize that, okay, there are parts of the signal that we can live without, we'll exchange, we'll gain that bandwidth back as well. So we allow a part of the undesired signal so that the desired sideband stays intact. And this desired sideband that actually does not have any practical use, but for protecting the true signal is kind of a vestige of the true signal. And vestigial organs.
Yes, sir.
Yes. So vestigial organs are like the appendix, the tailbone. Humans have a tailbone, right? So humans have the appendix, humans have a tailbone, humans have the wisdom teeth. All these organs serve no practical purpose. They are there. Appendix actually tries to kill you as well if you are unlucky. But these are there because they are a part of our evolution process. So these vestigial organs, like these vestigial organs, we call this sideband that gets through because of this imperfect filtering as the vestigial sideband. And the only criterion for vestigial sideband modulation is that the passband filter, the passband of the, so my off is looking bad. The bandpass filter should have a fixed gain. Fine. This is more of a qualitative discussion. And now the last topic, or yes, so this and actually these are two topics. I don't know. So actually we'll stop here and then continue on Saturday, because if I start this will take more than 10 to 15 minutes. So I don't want to start it today.
So
Yeah, Shubhashish.
I have a last doubt on this.
Yeah.
We are going to have some useless bandwidth passed due to this method, right?
Yes.
So won't there be some interference between the original signal and some portion, like if
No, because you will eventually you can you only want one sideband. So you can push that into the negative half. And actually your question is valid, but there exist tricks to undo that.
say like circular modulation.
Circular modulation? I haven't heard of that.
Not modulation, means circular arrangement, like from x0 to xn, and then x0, instead of having x0 to xk, we can have a circular format.
No. So we are dealing with purely analog signals, not discrete time signals.
Then
What
how
we
will
would
we manage?
Simply as we demodulate this single sideband. So even in single sideband, you can now treat this as cos 2 pi fct plus mt cos 2 pi fct plus some error signal, which is multiplied with sine. So you push that into the sine and get away with that. Actually, I've never thought about demodulating vestigial sideband signals. That's a good question. I will read more about it if I can, because all your television transmitters and receivers employed vestigial sideband signals. Honestly, I'll have to read more about it, but there are tricks that can circumvent this.
So the current communication employs the first choice or the second choice?
The current communication doesn't even bother about AM.
Okay.
So this was so this was used in your analog television. You remember you had before there was a pre-set-top box era.
Black and white.
No, not black and white. Between black and white and
So when antennas were installed
Doordarshan,
on
antenna
rooftops.
wala Doordarshan.
yes,
Okay,
antenna,
cable.
Doordarshan, cable, those days. So those days you used vestigial sideband in television. But how exactly did they demodulate it? No, you were born. So set-top boxes came around only in 2005. You are younger than that, I believe.
No, sir.
Okay, yeah.
Sir, are these concepts also valid for wired communication?
Yeah, these are actually mainly for wired communication. So telephone line, we'll discuss telephone lines. So actually these television, what we used to call pre-set-top box cable TV. You remember that? There was a guy who used to come to your house every month to collect money. And people used to beat him up.
Yes, sir. Cable wala.
Cable wala. So this cable wala, this was actually the cable wala provided wired communication. So there was a dish antenna. He downloaded everything. He received everything. So within that coaxial cable were multiple vestigial sideband modulated AM channels. The picture was in AM, vestigial sideband, that your television demodulated. So we'll discuss this on Saturday. So let's stop here and continue and finish this on Saturday. Okay, bye then.